I do believe that it's going to be going live right now, even before there's an indication of a timer happening, and that's okay. So here we are. We're live, and I'm with Ryan Hanrahan, and I'm going to be visiting coming up in January 29th through the 13th. And so Ryan and I are going to have just about a 15-minute conversation about what problems are going to be solved in this coaching excursion down under. So anyway, so Ryan, I wanted to thank you for the fact that you've invited me to come to Australia and that you've made that possible. So thank you. And I'm really looking forward to it. My wife desperately wishes she could go, but it's just not going to happen this time. But I wanted to talk a little bit about what are some of the topics that you've seen that you're most excited about for your people?
Yes, most excited about anything that's going to help the players that we're going to hopefully train up, whether they're adults or juniors, right through from probably intermediate players to advanced players. I think I'm really interested in how the visual skills can really help improve a player's performance, whether they're trying to learn the game or they're trying to really get the best out of their results and track the ball a little bit better so they can feel like they're more comfortable within the point. So anything like that, I'm really interested in. Anything that can help with the neuroscience kind of side of things as well, where they can train their brain off the court or even within the court to improve their performance. So
yeah,
I'm really looking forward to what you come up with. So
yeah, good. And one thing we were talking about pre-show here is pre-conversation is the pain statements of, what are the problems that people have that either they are aware of or maybe they're not even aware of. They have these problems that they want to solve. And for me, it's really fun to be a problem solver, but to be a frustrated coach without the answers is difficult. So, I'm hoping that two different things happen. One, yes, we want to help the players, but I also want to be able to help coaches to become much more effective in what they do and to be better problem solvers. So I think the number one pain statement is that I came to the realization that that even though I've been teaching the visual skills for a while, that's not really the first place I start when somebody comes on the tennis court, because the first problem that we face is that player's anxiety level. And so, that's a really big problem. And there could be any number of things driving that anxiety. A lot of it is fear of the unknown. So, when I get somebody on the court for the first time, the first thing that I do is I acknowledge that, thank you for coming to a place you've never been to before, to meet someone that you've never met, to do something that you have no idea what it's going to be when you get there. I mean, that's all pretty nerve-wracking, for someone who maybe has never played tennis or has played tennis some but never really had a formal lesson, or is a frustrated player because maybe they've been coached poorly in the past but they blamed themselves for failing at learning to play tennis well. So, there's a lot of different baggage that people come to. And if that's probably the number one thing I want to help people solve. And you'll see that in person. So when you come out on court with me as a player, you're going to see how we create an atmosphere of, acceptance and learning and keeping things low key and fun and engaging. So, that's the number one thing. And then that also kind of feeds into the visual skills, because as your anxiety levels go down, then your clarity of mind improves and you're able to see things more clearly. And I'm going to finish my little diatribe with this. There was a really funny piece of research that came out in neuroscience last week, and it said that people who struggle with neuroses cannot interpret well their own feelings of stress, which, ought to be obvious. And then I decided to interpret that the worst possible way. And so the worst possible translation of that is, you're not feeling stress, you're just crazy. So, it's not that hard. You're just not in your right mind. And so, we as recreational specialists get to help people to, be more mentally healthy, and that's a good privilege. So, what's next on the menu, Ryan?
Yeah, so I think that's a really good place to start in terms of making someone feel more relaxed and less stressed when they go out onto the court, whether it's a new lesson or they're entering the gates to play a match, whether it's their first match or a final. Because especially when you go back to the lesson side of things, that really goes back to the word trust. And if someone's stressed, they find it harder to take the leap and trust that coach for the first time and really get that relationship building, if you know what I mean. So once we build that trust, I reckon quicker, then that player's going to pick up the game faster or go from A to B faster from wherever their start point is and really get into what they're doing rather than stressing about it.
Yeah, no, that's great. And, while you were saying that, I was thinking about tools, so have you ever had a bad tool? Like, you have a Phillips screwdriver, but it's just not fitting the thing that you're trying to screw in or out. So that's kind of difficult.
Yeah.
My cat is attacking me while we're doing this. You want to get in the video? You like to do this. So, he likes to get in and be a part of things. So, yep, say hi to everybody. Hey there. So, unfortunately, some coaches don't really have enough tools to be able to fix things. And so, and I've been there. I know what that feels like to, try this, try that, try that, try that, try 5 different things to solve a problem that the student's having, and then the problem's still not fixed. It's not a comfortable and a confident place to be. And if we are, as coaches, are not feeling 100% confident, then it's really hard for our student to feel confident in that. And now it's more fun to have a more complete set of tools and then have an immediate ability to help guide people through some difficult problems so that they can succeed. And you can be able to say, yeah, I've seen this one before and I fixed this kind of thing many times. So, or anyway, I know how to help you fix it, because ultimately it's the player who's going to have to make the changes that are going to help them improve. So, yeah, so it's about having the right tool for the right job. And unfortunately, there's a Mark Twain quote that I really like, and it says, "To the man who only has a hammer, every problem looks like a nail."
Yeah, that's right.
So we're going to cover, I should find that list because we had some different things that we were going to talk about. And, if you're watching this and you're kind of getting ready for to be a part of it, we definitely want to hear from you on these things. So I'm going in my notes here, see if I can find this really quick. But,
the one thing I find interesting about teaching someone something is sometimes you say the thing that really helps them, but they either don't get it or they can't do it. And I know what it's like to be on the, I guess, the teaching side, but also the student side, whether it's with tennis or something else. And sometimes when you're on the student side, it's like, I feel like I am doing it, but I just can't get it. And the coach is telling you to keep doing the same thing, but you feel like you're doing it, but the coach thinks you're not doing it. So it becomes a point of frustration. But I try to be aware of that when I'm coaching and really just find out what it is that's blocking them to be able to do it, whether it's like they need to realize that they're not quite getting it, or they don't need to worry about the net when we're just trying to hit it nice and smoothly, and just trying to take away the other blockages in their head to really just focus on that one thing and what is it that gets them to do it, and just to trust the process. Because once they get one or two things, especially that first one, and they can see that it makes a difference, you create a domino effect of trust and also problem solving rather than just stating what a good tennis shot looks like. You're more solving a problem for each individual player.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I like to do, especially for the beginners. It's really important to get them to be confident and, like you said, not stressed when they first turn up on the court.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. And I would even split that out a little bit because if what the coach is saying is nonsense and then the player doesn't is doing what they think that is the coach is saying, but the coach is saying something that's nonsense, then that's a problem. But if the coach is saying something so that's one example. Another example is the coach knows what they mean when they say a certain thing, but the player doesn't know what that means. And so then they do the best thing that they can do. And then the third thing is when the coach has such a refined ability to tailor their language to the way the person learns, then you get greater understanding. So it's not necessarily about knowledge always, it's about understanding. So so I'll give you an example. I was working with a young girl and she was not particularly athletic and she just wanted to learn how to play tennis because her aunt played and they wanted to play tennis together, right? And that was her goal, to play tennis with her aunt. Perfect. So, I was explaining strokes to her and then she said, "Oh, it's like spreading frosting on cupcakes." Like, what are you talking about, right? So she says it's like spreading, frosting on cupcakes. And I thought about it for a second and I'm like, yeah, actually it is. Just really big cupcakes. So, I mean, that's the weirdest example, but it's really more about discovering how does the person learn. It's interesting because in the last year, two very, very important people to me, in terms of how to coach, have recently passed, right? One of them is Nick Bollettieri, who just about everybody knows. And been reflecting on that lately about how important he has been to tennis. And the most common thing that I'm hearing people say is that Nick would come personally to each player and have this personal moment of encouraging them and saying, "You can do this," and that assurance, that confidence is really important. And then the other one is Dawn Henson, who's lesser known, but Dawn is probably the one that's the most influential with me in terms of being interested in brain science, because Dawn went way out of his way to understand the student and the way they think and how can he form his words and the understandings of what to do based on what's most palatable for them. And then something that I've been learning to do is help people make a shift in their in how they think and how they experience their tennis from like what are they predisposed to do. Because a lot of people who come to play tennis are college educated, they're analytical, they know how to create systems and processes and whatnot, but those types of strategies aren't necessarily going to help. So what they have to do is they actually have to learn to use like a lower level of brain in order to be able to do the things. And we're gonna, we don't have time to really explain all that now. It would take quite a while, but people are going to see that in action in how we bring things down into an apprehension of how to do things rather than a comprehension. So I'll explain all of those in future lives that we do, but there are going to be a lot of solutions to a lot of problems that have been very difficult. And I think we're wrapping up shortly, but I just wanted to go over this list of topics that we were going to cover in the 2 weeks that I'm going to be there.
Just a quick question.
Sure.
Like, on my understanding of comprehension and apprehension, would that be like this example? Let me know if I'm wrong. Where apprehension, you're trying to think about what you look like. I mean, comprehension is what you look like, what the coach is trying to say. But apprehension would be more related to, I guess, how it feels. Because you can't really watch yourself. It's more the feeling of it. So you're trying to get that kind of full.
I think that's part of it. But like, it's probably more likely would be if somebody threw a ball at your face, how you would naturally, track the flight of the ball and put your hand and your arm up to block.
Yeah.
So it's not a thinking thing. You didn't analyze anything. You just, you apprehended the flight of the ball, and then you placed your hand or your arm in a place to protect yourself. And that's, so it's much more primitive. It's a much more mid and lower brain action. And that's why people playing at a high or super high level can't explain how they do it.
Yeah, because you get, I guess, the beginner person might just let the ball hit them in the head.
No, they won't often. No, and
But you know what I mean? Like,
it's
there's a range of different reactions.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting how, sometimes I'll just take a ball and I'll just throw it, in a place where it's pretty easily catchable by somebody, and they do it, and then I say, okay, well, you just apprehend it, and now you're going to use that skill to play tennis. And there was no analysis that you did. You didn't say step 1, 2, 3. There was no, prepare the racket, load, contact point, follow through. No, you just put your hand where the ball was and you caught it. And then that makes life a lot simpler too. So that was a great question, because it created a good back and forth there. I think we want to wrap up pretty quick though, right?
Okay, yeah, sorry.
No, don't apologize. But when you said we should make it 15 to 20 minutes, I was like, oh yeah, that'll be perfect. Especially,
yeah, that's what my own control. But yeah.
Yeah. And then my wife wants me to go out shopping with her in a minute, so that'll also work out well. So here are the topics: visual skills for advancing players. But then we also, and then how not to lose a tennis match. Because if you can learn how not to lose a tennis match, then your chances of winning are a lot better. Subtle doubles to be a wizard. Some of the verbiage may need some work. Know your A, B, and C game plan to get to a UTR 10. Be good to your brain for the win. And 5 large group games that teach singles and double skills. So that's those are the topics that we'll be covering. But if there's something else that comes up that people are like, hey, we really want to do this, I mean, I'm pretty flexible. I want to bend the content as much to the interest of the people as possible. But then in some ways, I'm also pretty determined to make sure that people don't take the easy out, and that sometimes they might actually have to learn some hard things, um, even though it's not their favorite thing to learn, because it's going to be better for them and they're going to succeed more, even though it might surprise them.
I've
So,
got another one on the list that you sent me. I don't know what happened to it on your list,
okay.
but it's teaching a life-changing private lesson.
Yes. Yeah. Teaching a life-changing private lesson. Oh, yeah.
That one's
That
for the coaches, I guess. Yeah.
it is for the coaches. And yeah, I mean, this is, you know, man, I mean, and that sounds like a really big topic, but oftentimes, I mean, I would say in a year, I would say anywhere from 10 to 20 of my private lessons turn into therapy sessions for the person. And sometimes we do meet people in a time of crisis, or time of difficulty, and you know turning that into content to make their tennis better, and then also the quality of their lives better. It makes a big difference. I'll give one example, and then hopefully we can get off the line here. But um, I had a student who was trying to cancel their private lesson with me at the last minute. And it wasn't, and I could tell that there was something going on with her, and that there was more going on. And it wasn't a big deal. I would have gladly canceled the private lesson. But I've had this intuition that if she came to the lesson, that was going to be better for her. So when she comes, she tells me that her elderly mother didn't recognize her for the first time. And so, that's where the concept of just the idea and the way of being, that you care more about your players. How much you care matters more than how much you know. And so, I mean, in that lesson, we maybe hit 50, maybe 150 tennis balls, but we did a lot of talking about how to get through that kind of experience when your parent doesn't recognize you for the first time, because there's grieving involved in that. So bringing that level of care and concern to your clientele is something that creates a really great relationship, loyalty, and it makes that time really matter more. So you kind of have to understand some more things than just the average. What helps you teach a better tennis lesson, and you have to be if you really engage with your people and really care, then that'll come across in everything you do.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. So hey, so let's do this again sometime, and then I think the plan is, what we're going to do is we'll probably talk about each of those topics, and give a pain statement, and talk vaguely about what is going to happen, and then try to give one really good piece of content for free, just so that it's not just this big lengthy infomercial, because that's no, I hate presentations like that, where you just feel like it's all an advertising to buy a product, and you don't even really get to know what it does.
As
Ryan, Rich
as a
Nair,
marketing expert, yeah, like you want to give people value,
yeah,
even on your free content. That's the same as any coaches watching this. Give
yeah,
away stuff for free. Don't be afraid that that's going to make them not want to go to you. That's going to make them understand what you already know, and they're going to want you to teach it.
yeah. So, Rich Nair has commented on LinkedIn, so I'm going to let you answer him directly offline. But Rich Nair is asking you the question, Ryan, how are you embracing UTR in your club? So, maybe we can talk about UTR and why that's important in another one of these. But probably best for you to reach out to Rich directly on that one. But anyway,
Yeah,
I think
that's
that's
a good
it.
question. So we will reach out later, but that one is a very big topic in Australia.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Thanks,
thank
Bill.
you, Ryan. And then we'll do this again maybe in another couple of days or a
Yeah.
week or something like that.
Yeah, we'll try to do as much as we can to help those people out there know what's happening.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I look forward to meeting you in Australia, and hopefully people are going to start seeing these and decide that they want to come out. And I think it's going to be an exciting time. So, all right,
All right.
take good care. Thanks for
Yeah, you
watching,
too. Thanks.
everybody.
Are we still live?
Yeah, just hold on a second. It's going to go off at any moment now. I'm a little glitchy. Come on now.
Exact same time my mouse battery ran out.
Oh, that's too bad. All right, and